functions in general, we're going to look at the b, this one component that we haven't looked at yet. So before you do anything else, take down the title, the unit number, and everything that I've written so far. Scale here. I haven't drawn the x coordinates. And what I've done over here is I've drawn the graph of sine again, and I split it into 4 parts. And here's this obvious, really obvious question that says, how many sections? Well, obviously 4, because I already divided it for you. Well, look at that and read through this little sentence here. Graph this completely because of this b. And because there's a b here, the period changes, and I've already written this equation. The period is equal to 2 pi divided by b. Now, for like sine and cosine and all of the other functions we've done, the b would be 1, so the period is just always 2 pi. But in this case, we have to find out what the period will be so that we can graph it properly. And also, in just thinking about this, we know that this function is going to be shifted, that's right, to the right, pi over 6. And we don't ever see pi over 6 on this scale. We only see pi over 2 and pi and negative pi. So there's something that has to happen there. And so here's the idea, right? So you've read through this little sentence, and no matter how large or how small we make the circle, ultimately there's only 4 quadrants. And those quadrants correspond to these sections. So the idea is I could think about splitting up the period, the length of this interval, into 4 parts. And so to do that literally, I'm going to take this period, 2 pi divided by b, which is 3, because my b is 3. So let's do that. 2 pi divided by 3. There it is. I leave it just like that. And then I'm going to split it into 4 sections. So I'm going to literally divide this fraction, 2 pi over 3, by 4. And we'll see what that means in just a bit. You can see that I've worked it out here, but I know that's not enough. You guys need to do it on your own. So copy it and then work it out again. We just found pi over 6 corresponds to basically what this pi over 2 is, right? Like that will be our first point. So we'll write pi over 6. And then the next one will be 2 pi over 6. But, of course, 2 pi over 6 can be reduced to pi over 3. So I'm going to write pi over 3. And the next point would be not 2, but 3 pi over 6, which can also be simplified, right? Pi over 2. And then I'm going to do it just like that for the negatives. And negative pi over 3, negative pi over 2. What's the next point? The next point would be, so 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6. What does that simplify to? 2 pi over 3. Good. Next point, 5 pi over 6. Next point, pi. Good. So finish out these negatives. And I filled in part of the map. This thing that we found, the period, when we divided 2 pi by b, so 2 pi by 3, that's our period. So that goes where the p is, 2 pi over 3. Now let's look at what's happening with this specific function. We're shifting, right, again we're shifting to the right by pi over 6. So we're starting here. Our midline is at y equal to 3. Sketch the midline and see if you can complete the graph from there.
I'm glad you're watching your videos.
Message from Crancer. So we've got our midline drawn. We're shifting to the right pi over 6, so I'm starting here. And on sine, we start at the midline. So there it is, my first point on the midline at pi over 6. After that, what does sine do? Let's start using more mathematical language. It's not just that the next point is the max, it's increasing, right? It's increasing, so the next point is the maximum. And then after that, it's decreasing all the way to its minimum, increasing back to its midline, and now back to its max. What is it doing on this side? Well, after its midline on the left side, right, it's decreasing, now increasing the midline, increasing to the max, decreasing to the midline, decreasing to the minimum, increasing to the midline, increasing to the max. Now you can see that we've drawn more than one period, right? A period is how long it takes it to repeat itself. Go ahead and connect these dots. Remember, hills, not mountains. Congratulations, our first B problem is done. We're going to go over another. Claps from Crancer. Claps from Crancer. We're going to look at cosine. It's the same idea. We're going to be sketching this. Do the map. Find the period. Put the new coordinates there. And check your work in a bit. You know that the amplitude is 1 because there's nothing there. That means there's a 1 there. You know that the midline is y equals to -4, which means that the max has to be a -3 and the min has to be a -5. The period is pi. We got that from dividing 2 pi by b. b is 2. 2 pi over 2 is pi. Now, the next step, the next important part is the whole drawing the coordinates down. Do you remember what to do? Probably not. So check your notes. What did we just do in the last problem? We divided by something. That's right. We divided by 4 because of the 4 quadrants or 4 sections. So there it is. Pi divided by 4. So pi over 4. And then we're going to write, next one will be 2 pi over 4, which simplifies to what? Yes, pi over 2. Pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, 4 I mean. And the next one would be 4 pi over 4, and that simplifies to just be pi. Look, just rewind that last 30 seconds if that wasn't crystal clear. And complete the negatives. Here it is, completed. And I've also sketched the midline, labeled the min, and labeled the max, and labeled the min. Now, go ahead and sketch it as you know how, and then we'll check your work. Have you done it? I don't believe you. Okay, there it is. Cosine shifted to the left by pi over 4. It starts at its max, and then it goes down and up, and so forth. There it is. We'll have one practice problem. We'll practice in class. Come down here in great shape. Find the map. So you've got to find the period based on B. You've got to note how this is shifting. And get all that done, you're in good shape. I only pause this again, not so much to talk about B, but as just to point out, look, the amplitude, right, comes from this number here, but notice I didn't write a -2 for amplitude. Yeah, we always just write the positive version of this number. So in other words, the absolute value of a -2 is 2. So that's what we write, right? Because why? Well, because I'm adding 2 to the midline and subtracting 2 from the midline. That's all there is to it. For real, FR. Stop this video if you've done nothing and do it on your own first. Okay. After you've done that, then you may move on. No, stop. Stop. Okay, check your work if you've started. Wait, I've only graphed 3 points. Why is that? To remind you that this is a negative sign. So yes, it starts at its midline, but it actually decreases after it because it's a negative sign. And going this way, it's increasing. Congratulations for practicing and beginning to understand these problems. See you tomorrow in class.